We're going to start the meeting in a couple minutes. If you wanted to speak and you haven't turned in your blue card, that will be the time. February 10th, 5 o'clock, Calcasieu Parish School Board meeting will come to order. With Dr. Betty Washington, please lead us in the prayer and pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us to meet in order to do the business of our school system. Lord, we thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your wisdom. And we ask, Lord Jesus, that you continue to help our schools be the best they can be. Lord, we know that we're here tonight to discuss things that may be controversial, but we just know that we can depend on you, Lord Jesus, to help us to make decisions that will impact every student, every day, in every school. Lord, we thank you once again for allowing us to meet. We thank you for our parents and our visitors who came here tonight. And we just ask, Lord Jesus, that you guide us and direct us in making decisions that will impact everyone. Lord, thank you again. This I ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Van Meter, whenever you're ready, the roll call.
Yes, sir. Ms. Ayo.
Here.
Mr. Baumgartner. Here. Mr. Brode. Here. Mr. Castile. Here. Ms. Fontenot.
Here.
Ms. Gay.
Here.
Mr. Hardesty. Here. Ms. Hardy McReynolds.
Here.
Mr. Natale. Here. Mr. O'Banion. Here. Mr. Pichon. Here. Mr. Roberts. Here. Mr. Tarver.
Here.
Reverend Wallace.
Here.
Dr. Washington.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Mr. President.
Okay, go ahead.
I move to amend the agenda to replace item number 12, which is the executive session on Conley versus Lake Charles Boston School Board, or Lake Charles School Board, rather, now Calcasieu Parish Schools, and item number 13, take appropriate action under item 7 as item 7F and 7G, and to renumber the remaining items accordingly. And the intent of this is that discussion occur in open session to the extent permitted by law. To the extent permitted by law. Listen, the board will enter executive session only if and when legally necessary, and existing public comment procedures, including blue cards, will apply to item 7F to the extent permitted by law.
Okay, another motion, Wallace. Second by Dr. Washington.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order question.
Okay.
Is that a type of change that would require unanimous consent or a majority? So just majority. Okay.
Dr. Washington. Question?
The majority of what we'll be talking about in executive session is pertaining to attorneys and the suits
Yeah, so
I don't know. Can you
the reason that we were advised to do this in executive session is we have been called to a meeting with a judge regarding this case because we're going to be discussing this case, which is pending, with our attorneys. They suggested that we be in executive session like we normally would be in order to discuss a pending case.
I just say, I mean, if we do it in open session, we really can't talk. I guess it's.
It would basically be, you know, I know that our attorney would be in executive session, probably much more likely to be able to speak freely with the board because it's related to pending litigation. That's why we would do it in executive session, which is why they suggested that.
I mean, I just wanted to let it, we're not trying to hide it. It's just, that's the way we have to address lawsuits is in executive session.
I have a question. Yes. So, by going into executive session, since this is going to move to a different realm tomorrow, when do the citizens and our individual constituents have an opportunity? They're not going to be at the meeting tomorrow morning, I'm sure. That's going to be a closed meeting also, right? So when does well, Mr. Belfour, maybe you can answer, when does the community get an opportunity to address this particular item that's on the agenda?
The school board won't know what the judge wants of the school board and the information that the judge may require until tomorrow. But I suspect that as soon as the judge lets us know, the attorneys know what's going on, the superintendent will let you know. And in that fashion, the community will also know. But right now, what we know is that the attorneys in this case have been asked by the judge to appear tomorrow. The judge hasn't said what he wants us to do or what he wants to know from us. It's simply appear tomorrow, and the superintendent and the lawyers involved felt it best to tell this whole board in open session that, hey, we need to go into executive session and talk about it, but then come back in open session if the board has any motions to make it so that the public can see. But until we know what the judge wants tomorrow, there's not much else we can say about when the public will know, other than I suspect the superintendent will tell you immediately.
Well, I'm not so much concerned about myself as a board member. I'm more concerned about the community and them having an opportunity to share their thoughts.
As far as the community knowing, I suspect when the board members are told, the community will know. If the court wants to hold.
How would they know? I mean, I just don't want something to be done final, at a final stage, and then we're told what it is after the fact. I'd like to know.
The normal proceedings in desegregation cases involve notice to the public. If you are a student of the history of this case, back in 1983, Judge Veron ordered a notice be published in the American press so that everybody would be aware of what was going on. I don't anticipate anything differently happening if the court wants to do something. I suspect the court will order notice published.
With all respect, Mr. Belfour, the reason that I'm asking these questions is because I've been involved with several committees in the city over the last 10 years, Citizens United, community, whatever. And those groups have met with each superintendent. Did we meet with you, Dr. Bellmeter?
I don't believe, not your particular group.
Okay, because they've had different names, but it's basically been the same individuals. And it wasn't just me, it was people from the community. And each time we were told something different.
But I think what Mr. Belfort needs to do just in 5 to 10 minutes is explain, some people look like they're pretty young in here. They might not even remember the desegregation order.
Right.
So, they really don't have an idea of what we're talking about with the desegregation order. But if it's not gonna be held in open session, and you were a part of that case back in the 60s, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, then maybe we should just take 5 or 10 minutes, because I think we're gonna be here a pretty good while, well, hopefully not, and share what it was, because I know, because I worked on those committees, but I think if you share just 5 or 10 minutes with what the primary purpose of the desegregation order is, so that at least all of these community members that showed up tonight will know something positive from this meeting tonight.
I'd be happy to do whatever the board instructs me to do.
Yeah, before you start, Ms. Fields,
My question is, any decision gonna be made tonight that could affect any student within the parish?
So we cannot decide anything tonight that's going to be in relation to this piece, because all that's happened so far is we have been called to a meeting. That's it. And you as a school board weren't the ones that, determined anything in this case anyway. It was a judge. So it's gonna be a judge that ultimately determines it there too. So in terms of tonight, I mean, there are things within your control in terms of strategy and things like that within the case, which probably again needs to be discussed with an attorney in executive session. But at the same time, there's not any, to my knowledge, there's nothing that's gonna happen tonight that's gonna affect that. In terms of whether or not this, for example, whether or not we show up to the meeting on Wednesday. Like, we're required to show up to the meeting on Wednesday, so that's tomorrow. So that's what's gonna happen. So,
I have a few more people that want to make questions. I think we should let Mr. Belfort expand on it for a little bit, possibly to answer some of the questions.
I think we'll do the presentation with the kids first.
Yes, we are.
If Reverend Wallace will defer on his motion, it's appropriate to follow the agenda, at least that form.
Well, let's clarify, kind of deal with this first, because our students are here and they need to hear, because they'll be learning some things as well. We don't want them to just leave out and not know, hey, what the history of this. And so it's important. Okay, so a question for clarification here. Now, what the intent of my motion rather, was for it to have discussion. That discussion would occur in open session to the extent permitted by law. And so that means that whatever we can discuss here and provide and allow public input and comments on before we would have to go into executive session with litigation or whatever, then we can do that and should do that here where there will be transparency. The question for clarification here, so is this informational, or is this a case where we are about to, in the executive session, be advised by our attorneys because of new action? But so what is it? Is it just informational? Because informational, from my understanding by law, can be discussed in the public.
Part of what the attorneys are going to do is bring everybody up to speed, because we know that, for example, there were members of this board who were not here the last time that this topic was discussed, right? So to be able to bring everybody up to speed there. And then also, we learned, like I emailed y'all, I guess on Friday afternoon, about the Attorney General's possible involvement and y'all's discussion of that.
All right, so
One of the things that I'm concerned about is what you've just said is in essence asking that the board vote no about going into executive session.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. That's not what I said. I said, can we move that item and go into executive session as necessary for if we had to discuss further? I just read a part of it, but the full in detail I read at the beginning.
This board is not required to go into executive session. So if necessary means that it's required to go into executive session, and you're saying if the board is not required, then don't go into executive session. That in essence is saying, we'll vote no on the motion to go into executive session. If what you want is to change things on the agenda, that's a different question.
That's what the question was. That part of the motion rather. Let me restate it again. I move to amend the agenda to place item 12, executive session on Conley versus Lake Charles School Board, which is now Calcasieu Parish School. And item 13, take appropriate action under item 7 as item 7F and G. And to renumber the remaining items accordingly. And so the intent is that discussion occur in open session to the extent permitted by law. The board will enter executive session only if and when legally necessary. And we just said if we're discussing something that if it's a case or maybe getting legal advice, then legally necessary and existing public comments procedures, including blue cards, will apply to item 7F to the extent permitted by law.
And again, you are not required to go into executive session, except there are a few instances in personnel discussions where you might. So you're not required to go into executive session. So I'm not sure what you want the board to do.
Well, we just said that, so the word that so it is suggested then by the attorneys that we discuss this in executive session.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's what it's suggested.
I can agree with that.
Okay, so can we suggest that we discuss it in
Open session.
That is the motion on the floor.
Okay. What does the chair wish that I do at this point?
I have a question down here. I just got a question so I can get a clearer understanding of what we're asking. Because I'm thinking that we're asking prior to going into executive session to speak with the people that will be giving us information. Can we have a discussion prior to that so that we don't have to worry about anybody asking, what did they say in the executive session? I think these people that are here with blue cards, they want to know more about what is the desegregation part. When we go into executive session, we will go through it.
Billy?
I think it's important to remember that the Calcasieu Parish School Board did not initiate this.
We know, that's the problem.
This came from a judge.
Now,
So we're trying, we got called into a meeting with the school board for them to be able to do that. I just want to make that perfectly clear that it was not us that started this. This was a judge
we know that.
that took it upon
We know
himself to be
that.
able to do it. With that being said, our representation is wanting to talk to us in executive session to do that. I agree with that. I don't think there's anything nefarious by doing that. It's legal counsel being able to do that. If we have that discussion, it comes back out, and there's things that we can discuss or explain after that, then I think we do it after that, which is what you're asking for. We just to make sure that we don't get in a bind doing it.
No, we're not. We're not.
I think doing it after.
We want clarity.
You just want somebody to tell us what's going on?
We want clarity. We want clarity. This is our children. This is our family. This is our community. Transparency.
No, and that's what, but I personally, I can only speak for myself, but I don't know how to have a discussion because we haven't met yet. And I think we need to do it in executive session and to discuss the legal, but when we come out, we'll talk about weekends.
So you don't want to hear from the public? So you don't want to hear from the public?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But we, like he said, we did not request this. We as a board, we don't even know. We don't have to.
So, what I hear,
Hold on, guys, hold on.
what I hear, and what Mr. Belfour said would be appropriate as well, is giving a summary of currently where we are on the case up to now, right? So that everybody can be aware, both the board members and the public. I don't see a problem with that at all. Either Mr. Belfour, one of the DSEG attorneys, myself, somebody to be able to give a briefing on where we are.
I agree.
Right, that,
I don't think anybody has a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that either, right? Now, like I said, I think where we come into play in terms of, having those attorneys be able to discuss with us where we have ongoing legislation, where we have ongoing legal matters, just like we do with every other legal matter, to be able to discuss that in executive session is important too, right? I don't see a problem at all with having, like Ms. Gay asked for, a 5-minute summary of bringing everybody up to date with where we are, because I think there's a lot of confusion in terms of what we have the power, or what you have the power as a board to do, and what you don't, right? Because like it was pointed out tonight, there is very little that can be actually done by you, if anything at all.
Before Mr. Bauer speaks, Mr. Tarver.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there's a lot less disagreement here than it may seem like, because I don't think anybody has any problem with that. The only suggestion I would say is, if we could follow the agenda the way the agenda says, and then we get down to number 12, if you guys have no problem doing some kind of brief summary, we can get the lawyers to basically tell the public what they know. And then if the chair will be a little lenient with the blue cards and let the people speak before we go into executive session, so that way they don't have to sit for 2 hours or maybe 15 minutes, but probably 2 hours waiting for the executive session to end. And if we could do the blue cards before the executive session, that might eliminate a lot of it.
Having the attorneys give a summary and brief everybody prior to going into executive session may greatly reduce the length of executive session, which I'm sure everybody is interested in. Right?
So, anybody else want to speak on this before we vote? Please, Sean.
Yeah, whenever we do this briefing, can we make sure to explain what, if this goes through, what will change and what won't change? Because I'll be honest, I spoke to you the other day. That made me feel a lot more at ease with explaining, hey, if you're a fellow school, you still can choose a different school. Things along those lines. I think it's a lot of people don't understand what's happening, because I was blindsided by this just like everybody else was. And so I went and educated myself, and I think we need to make sure we explain completely what will change and what won't change.
So what I hear you asking for, right, is to follow the agenda as written, right? But prior to the executive session, be able to have some sort of summary, is that correct?
Correct, Mr. Waller.
And the blue cards prior to going into executive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, with that being said and understood, so what item, that'll be before item 12, the suggestion, I'll withdraw, rescind my motion.
Okay, so the motion's withdrawn. Let's move on to the approval of minutes, item number 3. Second, moved by Mr. Rose, second by Mr. Carter. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Number 4, presentations.
So we have a presentation tonight from with Sam Houston High School Student Council. We have the principal, Ms. Brandy White, here tonight.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the school board for allowing us to be here tonight. My name is Amber Ashworth. I work for DOTD Highway Safety Section under a program called Destination Zero Deaths. And one of our emphasis areas is young drivers. And what we see every day is devastating because one of the leading causes of deaths for teens is car crashes. So everyday lives are put at risk on our roadways due to distracted driving and not wearing seatbelts. But we're working to change that at the state level, parish level, regional level. Destination Zero Deaths hosted a statewide high school buckle up, phone down contest. And Sam Houston High School Student Council and Tech Team earned second place for their outstanding entry. The club will receive a $3,500 award for this amazing achievement. Destination Zero Deaths Southwest region is incredibly proud of the creativity, effort, and message delivered by these students. Their video will be featured as part of a statewide Buckle Up, Phone Down outreach campaign. Their work is a powerful reminder that together we can protect the people we love and help Louisiana thrive, one safe decision at a time. So I would like to recognize them and give them some certificates and then play their winning video for you. Okay, could I have Sam Houston High School students and admin come up, please? And I am super proud because we had many schools from our region enter this year, and that's a first. So we'd like to see it continue to grow each year. So, Miss Brandy White, this is the principal of Sam Houston High School. Tech Team Advisor, Selena Bartow. And then we have advisor to the student council, Tiffany Guidry. And this check is awarded to Sam Houston High School Student Council and Tech Team for $3,500. And the award money comes from AAA. If y'all remain standing up here, as they watch the video, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you for letting me speak, and I hope everyone recognizes the creativity and talent that our young people have. Here is Louisiana's second place winner from Sam Houston High School.
From their first breaths to the first day of school, we watched them grow. We let them go. But in just one moment, one choice, everything can change. A life full of potential, gone because of one text. This story doesn't have to become yours. Your life matters. Every life matters. You deserve a future.
Take the fight, watch the last
Yes, sir. Superintendent's report. Program governance. Head Start. No policy council meeting was held in January 2026. Our next meeting will be held February 9th, 2026. Fathers and children's activities, making melting snowmen. Students were fully engaged in the hands-on STEM project, sharing predictions on why the snowman mixture felt firm in their hands but quickly melted when it's set down. Parents also learned how something as simple as a good night's sleep can make a big difference in their child's learning and school success. Celebrated the 100th day of school in style by dressing up as a 100-year-old versions of ourselves. Students had a blast transforming into centenarian characters and acting like their grandparents. The halls were full of canes, gray hair, and lots of laughter. Our annual coordinated enrollment event is scheduled for Saturday, April 25th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Lake Charles Event Center. Program operations, our current enrollment is 450. You've each received the school population report that reflects the ending numbers from December and the beginning numbers in January. I'd like to report our January 2026 sales tax numbers, which show collections of $19,153,306, which is $1,822,397 above budget for the month, and $328,235, or 1.7% above collections for the same month in 2025. The latest hurricane report is in your packet. All board members are required to complete a Tier 2 financial report, the Leaders PDF e-file system, by May 15th. This process is now required to be completed online by the state, and the disclosure will now no longer be allowed via upload, email, fax, hand delivery, or mail. While we will provide you with instructions on how to complete this report on your own, we will also schedule a time for you to have the MIS lab, for us to have the MIS lab open to provide computers and assist you with this new process. We will follow up with more information later. We held our monthly Literacy Day event at Henning Elementary School this past month. Students at Henning Elementary focused on the importance of reading, and district staff were present to read a book. Thank you to Dr. Anderson and her staff for organizing this event. It was fantastic. Our elementary special ed students participated in rodeo this past month. This event allows for students with special needs to interact with animals and participate in games and activities centered around the rodeo. Thank you to Ms. Joanne Moe for founding and organizing this event every year. The Louisiana Music Educators Association gave out statewide awards this month, and CPSB educators fared well. Ms. Anna Lou Babin from T.S. Cooley, retired, received the Distinguished Legacy Award. Carrie Prochich from S.J. Welsh Middle Choir, and Eva Lorman from S.J. Welsh Middle Band, and Matthew McMillan from Sulphur High School Wind Symphony received the Standard of Excellence Award. Matthew McMillan also received the Outstanding Jazz Educator Award for District 5. David Bilodeau with Iowa High Band and Darren Hooper with Sulphur High Band received Outstanding Young Music Educator Awards. And Tony Vicardo, Administrative Director for Visual and Performing Arts, received the Phi Beta Mu Outstanding Contributor Award. Congratulations to these educators, and thank you for representing CPSB so well. This past month, CPSB also helped to host the Region 5 Honor Band for middle and high school students. Students from all over the area were able to come together to learn additional music from guest clinicians and participate in a performance at McNeese State University. Congratulations to these students, and thank you for the music educators and Visual Performing Arts Department for helping organize this event. CPSB also held our Partner in Education Brunch at the Lake Charles Event Center. This is an annual event which helps us honor the many businesses and individuals that serve as partners in education in our schools. Thank you to these entities for helping to make a difference in the lives of the children in Calcasieu Parish. Dr. Anderson and her team did a great job organizing this event. Starks High School also held Career Day this past month. Students were able to meet with representatives from various businesses and occupations to explore possible career paths. Thank you to Ms. Colby Gilbert for organizing this event. Board members, if you asked to be registered for the LSBA convention in March, your travel folder has been placed in your packet. This concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Moving on to number 6, committee reports. A, CNI Committee, January 27, 2026. Ms. Phillips, share the report.
Crouch Parish School Board Curriculum and Instruction Committee met Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 in the boardroom, 3310 Broad Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. The CNI committee meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. by Phyllis Ao, chairman. A quorum was present. Mr. Ronnie Harvey, Jr., Chief Academic Officer, presented the board with the calendar committee recommendations for the school year 2027-2028. After much discussion on the proposal, it was recommended to accept the 2027-2028 calendar as presented, and I so move on behalf of the committee.
Coming out of committee, does need a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, Mr. Harvey and various CNI team members presented the board with an update on the CPSB school performance scores. This was for information only and did not require a vote. This concludes the CNI committee report.
Thank you, Ms. Sales. Moving on to B, Budget Committee, January 27th, 2026. Mr. Chair, Tony O'Neill.
Couch Fair School Board Budget and Fiscal Management Committee met at 6:24 p.m. Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 in the boardroom, 3310 Broad Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. The quorum was present. Mr. Bent presented information about the proposed structure of the 2026-2027 salary schedule. Key updates include reducing the number of steps for 182-day teachers to 47. He also discussed increasing the number of steps for support staff to 30. On a motion by Dr. Washington and seconded by Mrs. Hardy Reynolds, it was recommended that the proposed structure of the 2026-27 salary schedule be approved as presented. And I so move on behalf of the committee.
All right, coming to the committee, we don't need a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Bent then presented a current update on the status of the $50 million fund. This was presented as the information only. The next item presented was a current update on the status of the riverboat funds. This was presented as information only. This concludes the report of the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Number 7, take appropriate action. A, approval of CPSB Head Start Program, federal grants.
Move on A through E. Move on A through E.
A to B, second.
A through E.
Second. Five. Good deal. I'll read these. All right. A, approval of CPSB Head Start Program, federal grant, $4,818,215. B, approval. Don't read them all out, I'll take them individually.
We can vote. One vote. Yeah, I think we're saying one vote.
We'll go along, okay. I'll read each one.
I think individual.
Okay, so, yeah, anybody have any questions on that?
It's just a continuation of our Head Start grant.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Motion passed. B, approval, Cleco right-of-way, new electrical service underground in front of the Quincy High School, near the highway and within the school's property right. Approval is based on the attorney's final review of all work.
So this is just a right-of-way with Cleco. We're doing some construction, of course, in front of the Quincy High School. And this would allow a right-of-way for Cleco.
All right. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. C, adoption of District 24 bond resolution.
So this is the next step in the District 24 bond. So we're officially adopted.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. D, approval of resolution and petition authorizing Benton land annexation, Benton High School.
So we were notified by the town attorney for Benton that a portion of the Benton High School property, specifically a portion of the baseball field, softball field, and mainly the football field, is technically not, although it's our property, it's not in the town of Benton city limits. And so this is basically just officially asking the town of Benton to annex the rest of that, so the entire thing and all of our property is within the town city limits. So the first step is y'all asking the town to do it, and then the town will then take it.
Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. E, approval of request to purchase property at 517 Lake Street, Westlake, Louisiana, adjacent to SP Arnett Middle School, use of Riverboat funds.
Yeah, this is a piece of property that's a very thin piece of property right in front of Westlake, in front of SP Arnett Middle School. And so it's, it would help to purchase that land. It's right there connected to our property.
Questions? All in favor of E, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8,
So move on A through C.
Mr. Hardesty made a motion, seconded Mr. Baumgarten. A through C. All right. A, bid number 2026 CT23, school nutrition programs, cafeteria tables, food services.
So this is just to purchase cafeteria tables. It's coming out of food service.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. D, bid number 2026 JS01, janitorial supplies, general funds. Same thing?
Same thing.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's like the tables are coming out of food service. Why is the janitorial supplies coming out of maintenance?
Well, it's coming out of, yes, ma'am, it's coming out of general fund. We have, in the budget in order to purchase things like copy paper, janitorial supplies, things like that. So it's in the budget in the general fund.
But ordinarily, because it's in the budget, but ordinarily it comes out of maintenance. I'm just asking, because I was very pleased to see food service.
Well, food service, yes,
I
ma'am,
know.
food service was cafeteria too.
I know,
Yes, ma'am.
but I just was wondering why it was coming out of general fund. But you told me because it's budgeted.
Yes, ma'am, that's where it's from.
Thank you.
All right, let's vote on B. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. C, bid number 2026 CPO 7, copy paper, general funds. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number
Move
9.
on 11A.
Okay, Mr. Horst made the motion, seconded by Brooke. I'm sorry, Castile. He wishes. Correspondence, change order number 1 for additions to Western Heights, Barry King AIA Architecture, Seth Real Construction LLC, contractor district number 23 bond funds, increase of $18,969.17, an increase of 30 days. Questions? Sir, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Number 12. So deputy session. Somebody move on that?
So,
We have to move on.
okay, yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Baumgarten.
Second.
Second.
I'll second.
Carter. Okay, this time I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Belford to give us an overview and history of what we're, what this pertains. Then after that, we can have blue board.
For probably 15 years, off and on, this board in both private session and in open session has heard people talk about the Connolly case. Board members have been provided packets, and I'll just show you one like this, summarizing the litigation and attaching documents. So I apologize to all of you who have heard this before. The history of the Connolly litigation is quite lengthy, so I'll try to shorten it. And Mr. John Blanchard, who's with the Hammond Sills firm that was retained by this board in 2014, is with us, and I'd like for him to supplement things that I might not cover fully. The original complaint about schools was filed in 1964 by a number of attorneys. The normal course of events for school cases like this was not any different here. There were different plans presented, and the courts by and large approved some, disapproved some. But in 1970, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals approved the order and the attendance zones that the school board had proposed, and some of which the school board perhaps didn't propose. But that became the operating plan for this school board in 1970. And substantially, that plan was in effect until 1980, when a motion for additional relief was filed by P. Spencer Torrey and Louis Berry, both of whom I understand are deceased. Back then, you had a relatively new superintendent, Dr. Fred Stokely. It seemed that he developed a sense of trust with the people who had filed the motion for additional relief, and together they put a compromise proposal that Billy Moses had when he became superintendent. That proposal was taken to Judge Veron. There were a number of court hearings that motions were presented to Judge Veron. Eventually, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit said Judge Veron should hold a hearing, which he did in 1984. It took 2 days, and the school board presented what was called a plan for realignment of school zone boundaries. That plan, after those 2 days of hearing, where virtually anybody who wanted to could talk, did talk. The judge permitted that. He even permitted lawyers who weren't in the case to address the court. The notice regarding that particular proposal was published in the American Press. It took probably 4 columns of type to present what was going to happen. At the end of the day, Judge Veron approved the plan for realignment of Calhoun Parish schools, primarily affecting Ward 3 and the high schools and some of the elementary schools. There were appeals taken. At the end of the day, the appeals confirmed what Judge Veron did. Many people call this the consent decree. The problem with that is it's a misnomer. A consent decree proposal was presented to Judge Veron, along with a proposed notice to everybody, so the public would understand what was happening. Judge Veron made some changes in the notice. He had the hearing, but after the hearing, when he issued an opinion approving the school zone realignments, he never signed the proposed consent decree. So when people talk about the consent decree, what they're really talking about is the school board's plan for school zone realignments in Ward 3. Because there is no, to my knowledge, signed consent decree. Since 1984 or so, this school board has operated in accordance with the 1970 Fifth Circuit plan and with the school zone realignment plan approved by Judge Veron. There have been, since then, a number of cases around the state where school districts have asked the court for a declaration of unitary status, and I'd like Mr. Blatcher to come forward and give you that history of what's going on around the state.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. As Mr. Gregg said, I'm John Blanchard from Hamilton Sills. The board retained us a number of years ago as special counsel in this case. I'm a partner at the Hamilton Sills law firm, and I have been doing desegregation cases around the state for about the past decade. And one thing I do want to, I know there's a lot of passionate people here today, and I know that sometimes there can be confusion that comes about when one of these cases restart. And I appreciate that. When I first started working with Bob Hammonds at our law firm, I was kind of like, what do you mean I'm about to start working on some desegregation cases? That was back in 2015. I was kind of scratching my head too. What's happened in a lot of these cases over the years, sometimes in the 1970s, 1980s, or in the intermediate, in between, a lot of these cases have fallen into what's called the inactive docket of many of these courts, meaning that there really wasn't any activity. There wasn't a final judgment yet, but nobody was doing anything on the plaintiff side, on the defense side. Sometimes judges would sign an order saying, I'm putting this on the inactive docket unless somebody has a problem and wants to come back and reopen the case. So that's what's happened in your case. We got an order from the judge last week saying, I want you to come for a status conference. Judge Kane said he got assigned the case and said, come tomorrow. And I want to make one thing clear. I won't get into any litigation strategies, but I want to try to maybe dissuade some concerns that may be happening. I would be shocked if anything happened quickly in this case, in the sense that we're not going to see attendance zones change tomorrow. We're not going to see schools open or close tomorrow. The judge wants some information from us, and we'll provide that information to him or a discussion with us. But I know in the past decade, a number of cases have reopened across the state, and I work on a lot of them. St. James, St. John, Bossier. There are a number of cases that are in active litigation around the state. In some of those cases, there have been orders from the federal judge changing some things. In some other cases, like Plaquemines, a year ago, the Plaquemines desegregation case was reopened and immediately dismissed. We can't predict what's going to happen. However, what I can say is that nothing will happen without appropriate notice from the court. The school board will be given an opportunity to respond. And the judge will take those responses into due consideration. But as we said earlier, we don't know much beyond there was a new judge assigned to the case and he wants to talk to us. So again, nothing is going to happen immediately. There's not going to be any changes. I would, not this school year, I can't say if there's going to be any changes at all until we talk to the judge. But that's why you all retained us as special counsel. We've handled many of these cases across the state, and we'll definitely come back and talk to the board again once we've met with Judge Kane and we know where we're going from here.
What has changed in other areas?
I defer to the chair if you'd like me to answer that question.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to take any questions right now. They're blue cards. Okay. Thank you, sir. So we've got blue cards. So you'll be given 3 minutes. Once your name's called, please come up to the podium and state your name and address. Jason Dupuy.
Hi, I'm Jada Dupuy, and I'm a student in public school. And as a biracial child, growing up in public school, I was growing up in a family where race, color, anything didn't matter. We were all family. We were all friends. I have friends, different races, different colors. I was born to say how I feel, and I have a right to, because kids younger than me are in elementary school, kids that are about to start school, imagine how they're gonna feel when their friends are all taken away from them. I have cousins, family, friends that are in elementary school right now. Imagine they have so many different races of friends. They're gonna get taken away from them. They're not gonna know. We're just kids. We are getting our rights taken from us for being, just because we're different color. We're getting taken from our friends. This is all we've known. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry. I just want to say it's not fair to us kids that we have to go through this, because we were born where this was changed a long time ago before we were born. And all of a sudden, now it's coming back. And this isn't right. This was changed a long time ago, so why does it have to change now? Why do we have to get our rights taken and be split from our friends or people we know now? That's not fair to us. It's not fair to anybody. And that's not fair for people that are more privileged than us or less privileged than us. It's not fair that we have to being put in different schools. Like, what happens if, like, sooner or later this, like, not saying that it will or if it does happen, but if it happens and we get split it sooner or later, let's say we have to go to different grocery stores, different things like we had, like they did back in the day. What are we doing?
Next is, Mr. Mark. Honor Senior. I'll let you know their appointment.
Good evening. I am a resident, I consider North Lake Charles because I'm north of Broad Street. I have an 11-year-old son who is extremely blessed in the sports area, and he wants to go to ball. I feel like, how they say, when you really ain't got nothing to do with it, no dog in the fight, why does somebody that don't have no dog in the fight control the fight? Why they gotta say so over where we want our kids to go? I don't understand it because of our race. My daddy went to Lake Charles High, played football. Wasn't a problem back then. Why is it a problem now? Y'all wanna know why we just can't have control over our kids? Y'all always trying to take control over our kids. We want control over our kids. We want to say where our kids go to school. And that's all I gotta say.
Mr. Craig Marks.
Good evening. I'm here representing the Lake Charles chapter of the NAACP.
Name and address, please.
Oh, name is Craig Marks, 1625 23rd Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. First off, I want to say I think people are getting this issue misconstrued. First of all, the issue was in regards to people having equal facilities, equal schools, equal things in the school system. And what happened was, back in the day, we know what the times were, and things just wasn't equal for whatever the reasons were. So some citizens and some students and some lawyers got together and they sued the school board. At that time, it wasn't the school board as it made up now. We were broken up by wards, and we still are. Wards 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8, and I think 3. 3 is what we're concerned about now. All of the other wards have complied with the unitary status. They met all the standards that's needed to be unified, meaning that they did what the courts ordered. Ward 3 is the only ward that hasn't complied. They have done some things, as the young man was talking about his kid going to bar. That was one of the tenets of the DSEG order. One of the tenets was majority minority. If you went to a school where you were the majority, you had a choice to go to the minority. They also had out of zone, where you could go out of zone. All of those things were tenets of the DSEG order. But there's some tenets that wasn't taken care of. Transportation, hiring, teachers being certified in all the schools, making all of the facilities equal, consolidating schools. All of these things were ordered by the courts. So since 1970, this was supposed to take place in the school year of 70-71. Nothing happened. We are 14 school boards in. Now, you count all those years up. 14 school boards failed to act on that order. Do what the court says. Make everything equal to the best of their ability. And we just let things go. And they have gotten to where we are now. Not saying that the things are bad, but things can be better. Because when we start drilling down and we start looking at teachers going to certain schools, you know, I've heard people say, that you can't make a teacher go where you want to go. Well, part of the DSEG, one of the tenants said that you, as a school board, you can tell the teacher where they go, or they go get another job somewhere else. We can't have teachers decide where they're going when their laws say we need you right here. As the young lady said, this order is not to separate. This order is to accommodate, because back in the day when we went to school, we went to schools in our... Can we have donated time? I have 3 cards, donated time. Patricia Dunn, Ms. Linda Holmes, Ms. Diana Ross.
Diana Ross, yes, sir.
You got the rest of my time.
It doesn't matter to me. It's not fault.
And I need people to understand, this is not an order to separate. This is an order to bring everybody up to the same level, to the best of their ability. It was said that the school board doesn't have power. You do have power. You don't have the power to decide right off whether or not you're gonna appeal this decision, but you do have the power to say, we're gonna make what this order says come to fruition. It's not the job of the superintendent. The superintendent works for y'all. Y'all are the power base that says, hey, we need to make it. Now, as the attorney said, it's not gonna happen overnight because we didn't get in this situation overnight. But until we start having studies done to show where we're progressing, where we need help, where we need to focus our attention, we're gonna be in the same place we are now. One of the tenets of the DSEG order was a biracial committee. A biracial committee was supposed to be established. At the time, it was 6 whites and 6 blacks. They were supposed to be the advisory board for the school board. They were supposed to make sure that these areas that the DSEG order said that need to be worked on were actually worked on. We haven't had that. They established the first DSEG board back in 1969, somewhere around there, and it went away. So we had no one checking on these things. We have these 6 tenants, and I'm sure if I asked the school board or the superintendent right now, what is the status of these tenants, he couldn't say. None of you could say, because we've all dropped the ball at some point. You know, this becomes a hot topic item by chance. By chance. In the climate that we're in now, we're hearing it. I read about the DSEG order in DeSoto Parish just a couple of weeks ago. They overturned it. Basically going back to the way things were in the 1950s. You know, you on this side, I'm on that side. I don't think Calcasieu Parish is an example to the rest of the world. Most people emulate this area. Despite how we get criticism for our schools and all these different things, we excel in a lot of things. Whether it be athletics, whether it be family culture, whether it be the Mardi Gras, whatever it is, we excel in it. So I come to you on behalf of the NAACP to ask you to dig down, go back, research the DSEG order. Let's do what it say do. And those areas that the school board just can't do, let's go back to the courts and say we need to tweak it. We need to make it better. But there are some things in here. I want to list to you the tenets right quick. It's number 1, desegregation of faculty and other staff. If you go online and you read the Connolly case, it will break down what this was designed to do. It was for promotions. It was for getting jobs in the school system, making sure they wasn't given on race, but on merit and objectivity. Number 2, majority to minority transfer. We all understand what the minority majority is. 3, transportation. From the time that this DSEG order came out, we didn't have all the busing that we're doing now. Now we're busing, and I'm sure it's costing the school board a lot of money. A lot of money. I grew up in a neighborhood where I went to elementary school, junior high, and high school right across the street from each other. I didn't have to go nowhere. At the time that they did this DSEG order, they were busing 4 kids. When the plan came into effect, it went to 484. Now I'm assuming we busing thousands, and it's costing the school board money. Number 4, school construction and site selection. I know the attorney talked about back in the day, 1983, when the schools closed. That hurt a community. Because when we start closing the neighborhood schools and we have to bus that has an effect. And I know, again, some of you, me, I'm probably just the same age as some of you, and I don't even remember some of that stuff. But those are the things that we need to be mindful of because we got overcrowded in schools now. We used to have, I think it was 6 high schools in Lake Charles. Now we're down to 3, and they far apart. There's nobody in the middle to meet that medium. If we had to take some kids out of LaGrange we could put them at LCB if LCB was still there. If we had some people at Washington Marion to meet that median so they don't be piled up in the school causing all this trouble. Number 5, attendance outside system of residence. That means people coming outside of the district going into the other. That's what they wanted to be mindful of. Number 6, the biracial committee, as I said. And number 7 was the student assignment plan. All of these things were in the DSEG order. The DSEG order, in my opinion, based upon the way I read it, is not a bad thing. It would actually help us now if we just paid attention to it, dig into it, see what we can do, assign some people to oversight committee to make sure that these things are taking place. And if they're not, let's work on it. But to overturn it or to get, and I'm talking to you, hoping that you will take some advice and not go into the courts to try to overturn it. It's much easier to work on it because we're almost there. We're short wall from doing everything the DSEG order does. But to go into the courts and try to overturn it, it's gonna be money, it's gonna be fighting, it's gonna disrupt our way of life, it's gonna disrupt our neighborhoods. And eventually it's gonna cause problems. So I'm asking you today on behalf of the NAACP to take the time, take a look, research the DSEG order, bring all of you up to speed on it so you'll know what you're talking about and you'll know what you're voting on or what you decide to do, and we'll go from there. That's what we ask of you. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Jasmine Harris. No, Ms. Jasmine's not here. Okay. Megan Pradian. Name and address, please, ma'am.
Megan Trahan, 2235 Legion Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. As a mother of a student here, and as a business owner here as well, that pays taxes to, the city, help out. I'm just curious if it was to be overturned, that you all, like he said a mouthful is not much. I need to reiterate, we can speed this up because as you said, y'all have to go to the executive meeting anyways to see where it's going for someone to tell you all what to do with our lives. But anyway, neither here nor there. I just ask that if you do get a chance to vote on something, we are one. In Lake Charles, we're exemplary. We don't walk around stepping on each other's toes. We give each other comments and hugs and love. When it's a community event, we come as one. And we're not gonna be less of an example for these people outside that's running around in hectic and in separation. We're in 2026 and we're sitting here talking about some segregation. Come on. We have bigger fish to fry, I promise me. Even when I'm sitting in my status and in my financial status, I still have to fight every day. So at the end of the day, it's about us as a unit, as a whole. And I know you guys gonna make the right decision. I could just look at you all. This is wasting all our time. I know y'all got it. So let's just work as one, be as one, and understand that we are one. And I am with you and you are with me, whether we know each other or not, because we all are human, one mankind. That's it, we all bleed the same. Y'all have a good one.
Corman Gordon Williams. Name and address, please, ma'am, for the record.
My name is Carmen Gordon Williams, 2613 Ernest Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to talk. I am a product of the desegregation order. I attended public school here in Lake Charles under Calcasieu Parish. And I, for the most part, can say I enjoyed it, all except 1 year. 1 year, that year when they decided that they would pull all of us from Franklin Street, Haskell Street, Boston Street, Enterprise Boulevard, and First Avenue and move us from Mill Street Elementary to Hamilton Elementary. That was a big undertaking for third graders. I was in third grade at the time. And the first problem that we encountered was we had to cross Broad Street as children. We asked, our parents fought, they petitioned that we have a bus. Could they at least put you on the bus? If we have to go, can they put the kids on the bus? They were told no. So we had to learn real fast how to cross 4 lanes of traffic to get to Hamilton Elementary. There were days when we walked that railroad track that's on First Avenue and people threw rocks at us. Once we got to school, they went to the principal and they told the principal that we threw rocks at them. So as soon as we walked into the school building, we were called to the office and disciplined because they were told that we were doing the rock throwing where they were throwing rocks at us. My most detrimental memory of attending Hamilton was I can remember that our school passed out invitations where you had an envelope to become a member of the Bluebirds. I'll speed this up because then you say Bluebirds, Brownies, or Girl Scouts. My mother being a maid in public house, in the home, decided that, okay, if that's what you want to do, I'm going to go ahead on and give the money and have you take it to school. I took it to school just as happy as I could be. Gave it to my teacher named Miss Red. I stand here at 64 years old and I'll never forget Miss Red. Miss Red took my envelope and I assumed that she put it in the drawer with everybody else's and was going to turn it in later on. My mother asked me a few weeks later, she said, I haven't heard anything from the Bluebirds. Can you ask your teacher to tell me what's going on with that? I went back to Miss Red. I said, my mother wants to know. Miss Red went into her drawer. She pulled out my envelope. She said, here's your envelope here. She never turned it in. I never became a member of the Bluebirds, the Girl Scouts, or any other kind of work. So the experience was not a good experience. And like others have said, I can't believe that here in 2026, we're still talking about desegregation and segregation. Our children don't need to go through this. They go through enough. And so I just wanted to make you know that that is not a good situation for me. Thank you.
Levert Sebastian. Name and address, sir.
Hey, good morning. I'm Levert the Bassman from Live 104.9. On Street 305 Enterprise Boulevard. Just here for a brief, quick history lesson. The President of the United States and Clarence Thomas want to get rid of Brown v. Board of Education. If they do, where does that take us? Well, that takes us back to Plessy versus Ferguson, where they proved that separate but equal will remain the law of the land. And if they want to go beyond that, they also want to get rid of the 14th Amendment, right? Where does that take us? That takes us back to the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States or any of its territories, except as a punishment for any of those who shall have been duly convicted of a crime. That means slavery still exists in the United States of America as a punishment for anyone who is duly convicted of a crime. If we go beyond that, that takes us back to 1857, Scott v. Sanford, where Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger Taney ruled that the Negro, whether free or enslaved, has no rights that the white man is bound to respect. Once we desegregate these schools, if it happens, if desegregation happens, the next thing is to bring us back there. That's where we're headed. That's what we're up against in 2026. Most of you, if you're over the age of 60, raise your hand if you're over the age of 60. You were the first generation of Black people to vote. You're the first one who were given that right. This is where we're going in this country again in 2026. This legislation. Okay, that's where we're headed. make the right decision. And remember, there are only two types of people in this world: those who want to end the institution of racism and white superiority disorder, and those who want to live more comfortably under it. Which one are you?
Renee Rule. Name and address, ma'am.
Renee Rule, 609 Josh Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana, 70611. I represent Calcasieu Association of Educators. About 3 years ago, my son graduated from CPSB with over $270,000 in scholarships and attends University of Oklahoma while serving ROTC and Army Reserves. Why is this important? He attended Washington Marion, which was his old school. Several years back, several years back, we had a rezoning, which then put our area that we lived in into the Washington Marion district. Well, when he was supposed to go to high school, I looked at the AP courses allowed and saw that Washington Marion, several other schools didn't have as many. So I put in a transfer request to the district for him to go to Barr, which had more AP courses. We would then transfer to Moss Bluff. So I called the district and I said, can someone please explain to me why would I be transferred to Moss Bluff, even though the distance was pretty much equal between Barr and Moss Bluff for me? Why would he go there? They had the same amount of AP courses as Washington Marion. I was told, and I unfortunately will say this with the words to me, I am quoting, "It is because you were white. The assumption is that is why you put in a transfer." I said, "Oh, no, ma'am." I put in a transfer and I re-explained what I had used the front and back of my transfer request to state, which was that my son had attended the TEL program, was available for several things. We wanted him to attend the AP and get the program, which he qualified for. That was when it was told to me that he could then attend LCBA, receive the same courses that he would receive at Barr, and continue to go to Washington Marion, which Mr. Harvey knows my son did. I say this, why is this an important story? Because the rezoning laws for that are protected under these type of things that come in the federal thing. Sorry, I lost my place. Those things are protected under those things, and we cannot make the decisions of the federal government. We don't know what they're going to make. But what we can do as a school district is to continue to protect those safeguards, to continue to make sure that the zoning is fair for all children, that all of the manipulation children have the financial is fair for all students and for all children. And I have lost my place, but this is basically what I was going to say. I do want to enter in my statement with this. Trevor Noah, one of my most favorite comedians, has said that when we improve things for Black and brown people, that's education, policing, whatever, when we improve things for Black and brown people, we improve them for all. And I hope that's what we're doing.
Next is Caroline Webb. Friendly reminder to state your name and address, ma'am.
My name is Carolyn Webb. I'm a resident of 1230 Wright Street. We just made a pledge. You said liberty. I'd like for you all to know the definition of liberty. The state of being free within a society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's life or one's life, behavior, or political views. I have a question for all these desegregationists. I work as a nurse. If your physician did not live in your district and he was not zoned where you lived, you or your child needed help and he died because he was out of zone, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? So when that judge and you all get together, you sleep at night and you wonder, my child died because the doctor was out of zone. All right.
Rafferty.
Jacob Rafferty, 1718 West Common Street, 7060 Lake Charles. I grew up in Lake Charles. I went to FK White, that was predominantly a black school at the time. It was mostly black, and that meant a lot to me. I made a lot of good friends that I'm really close with today because of that. And then I went to Boarup High School, that was predominantly a white school, and then I was expelled, and then I went to the Career Center, another predominantly black school as well. At least at the time, I'm 35 years old. It's been a minute now, and this is important to me because I recognize my privilege, my white privilege, and I think that what white privilege can't give me is diversity. And I think that's why it's important to have black people in our schools. And not only it's not just about student assignments. It goes beyond that. It's to make sure that the teachers, I think Mr. Marks mentioned about the quality of teachers is similar, not similar, the same, that the resources, that the after-school program, the extracurriculars, that all those are the same. The transportation is reliable and it's quality. It shouldn't just be, it's this Conley versus Lake Charles. What I've done the research and the handful of days I've known about this wasn't just about the student assignments. It was about creating accountability to outcomes. So I think that there might be a belief on this board here that this is a neutral policy decision, and I want you to know you were wrong if you were thinking that this is a neutral policy decision. This will create unequal outcomes, and the policymakers will not bear the cost of this. The cost that will be bared will be to our black and brown students, and you don't think you have anything to do. You don't think there's anything you can do, but what you can do is commit to vigilantly fighting against this. That whenever you're meeting with your lawyers, you're meeting with judges, whoever it may be, that you have the gall to stand up and walk out and know you will have So I have a question for you. I have a question for this board. I would like by a show of hands, please, so that we can publicly show who is with us and who is against us on this. Who is willing to say, for a matter of fact, that they're going to and rolling back Conley versus Lake Charles. Ms. Gay, I would like to start with you. You're actually I can't do one.
Over 50, so I remember a lot. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. So, can I get a show of hands? Who is against rolling this back?
Time's up, sir. I understand everyone is passionate about this subject. I certainly do. I'm not trying to be short with anyone, but everybody has to get the same amount of time. We're going to follow the procedure. The next person would be Samuel Bailey.
Good evening, Calcasieu Parish School Board. My name is Samuel Paynes. I live at 1917 17th Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana. I am the Regional Director for Louisiana Association of Educators, and I'm the NEA Specialist. I represent, in my 19 parishes, over 15,000 union members. And so I'm going to say these things for us because I'm a retired educator from this parish. And I worked with these guys when we were all teachers together, and eventually was a principal in this school system. I was the principal of LaGrange High School. Go Gators! And I want to say this so we understand. I want to give you some numbers because I want to go into these statistics with, he was very eloquent, the NAACP representative, but there's some things people don't know. Calcasieu Parish has 33% Black students. We got 3% of 2 or more racial population. We have 59% white. We have 2% Asian. We have 32,700 students in Calcasieu Parish, 2,258 teachers at 59 schools. And we've been under the desegregation order since 1970. We're a highly segregated school system. The opportunities for white students in Calcasieu Parish are 3.5 times likely to be enrolled in an AP class as 2 or more white students or 2 or more races. Discipline, there's 3.6 times Black students are 3.6 times likely to be disciplined and suspended as white students. Highly segregated index. The segregation between Black students and white students is high, indicating that disposition or distribution of 2 or more racial groups among schools in the district are very likely and very uneven.
30 seconds, Mr. Banks.
1.6 point grades, there's 1.6 times likely as a grade of a Black student to achieve as there is for a white student to achieve. And I want to say to you, if you even think about changing what's being done, you're going to be fought very hard by every parent and every student in this school system. I use my time.
Ms. Latricia Matthews Laverne.
Okay, good evening, board. Dr. Van Meter and community. My name is Lasita Matthews Laverne. I go by Miss Lottie in the district, and that's how a lot of everybody in here know me as Miss Lottie. I'm the mother of all mothers to the students in this district. I am a school social worker. I mother a lot of your children. I provide insight to your children, your grandchildren, to be successful every day. For our district and our board to consider anything remote as desegregation, I'm gonna say is not right, because I wanna say it another way, but I'm gonna be clean. We have to be mindful that we provide a service to the students in this district, as well as the parents, as well as the community. Our goal is for unification. In social work, we call it social work is social justice. If we cannot advocate for our children and our parents and our families, then why are we here? Everything has to be in the best interest of our students. You look at our districts, a lot of our schools, and I'm gonna say our Black elementary schools, they are behind. They are failing. We are failing our children. A lot of our children still cannot read. They're in the 5th grade struggling. That makes no sense. We have to start bringing the same resources from South Lake Charles to North Lake Charles so that our students can be just as successful as those across the bridge and everywhere else. I ask you, board members, my friends on the board, my constituents out there who speak, to please be fair when you're talking about desegregation. And I understand it's not gonna be y'all decision. Y'all gonna have to do whatever a judge says, but be mindful. You do have a voice, and your voice should be heard. Thank you.
mess this name up too, but it's, is it SIPO? SIPO, I can't, I'm not gonna try to pronounce your last name, I'm all right.
So my full name is Sipo Mingmoisi Ngozi Monti. I'm a second generation immigrant. My family came over here in education very important. My whole point here is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna come down here a little hard.
Name your address, sir.
Oh, 1809 3rd Street, I believe. So my mom has a house in Westlake. We just bought it. Sorry. My whole point here is, if you had 50 employees and your 48 worst employee come up to you and said they wanted less oversight from their boss, what would you tell them? You said it's crazy, right? So I have a list of things that we are going to give the committee power if we remove federal oversight by overturning desegregation, right? The first one is independent boundary changes. The district could redraw attendance zones and neighborhood school boundaries without submitting them to a judge for review. That sounds like gerrymandering to me. That sounds like people want to draw school lines to decide who goes to school where. That sounds like people don't want kids from 3rd, 4th, and 5th Avenue to go to school with kids in Graywood. That's very concerning to me. And constant constructions, decisions to build new facilities, expand existing ones, or close underutilized schools would be under local control rather than court supervision. Okay? Very, very concerning to me. That's like what? Building new facilities, funding schools, closing down underutilized schools. Why would I put that kind of power in committees? And I'm not just saying y'all, but Louisiana in general, and committees that have us 48 in education, and then third lowest state for knowledge attainment. That doesn't make sense. Personal hiring and adjustments. Mandated ratios for minority faculty and staff recruitments would no longer be strictly enforced by courts. That's ridiculous to me. I'm not saying that we need to have 100% black schools, but let's not pretend that for 187 years, the 250 that the United States was a thing, it was still legal to murder, rape, and assault like minorities. And now people are mad that we're trying to get jobs. Okay, let's move on to the next one. End of mandatory reporting. The district would no longer be legally required to file regular status reports on the racial breakdown of students and staff to the federal government. So now the federal government, you guys wouldn't have to report to the federal government on how many black kids are here or how many white kids are here. That sounds ridiculous to me as well. And like, once again, 48th in education. I just want to drop a quick history lesson. The reason we are 48th in education is because after the Civil War, during Reconstruction and Jim Crow era, we had a bunch of Southerners who were so afraid they were going to be painted as the bad guys for literally fighting for slavery that they literally kicked out all the Northern teachers, kicked out all the Northern textbooks, and started their own educational system, which today has its 48th in education. So I'm asking you one more time, do we feel comfortable putting power into the hands of people that have us 48th in education? Do we feel comfortable taking power out of the federal government and putting more power in the hands of people that have us 48th in education and the third lowest state in knowledge attainment? I say no.
Mr. Milton Bellard.
Yeah, my name is Milton Bellard, 1857, Highway 15, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Southern Black Christian WACP. The government has been working with the school board and Mr. Brother for the last year and a half, working on things that can happen. We started on one thing, biracial committee. For some reason we can't come to terms with that. That's part of the consent decree. You know, I think the biracial committee will help bring things better for the community. The community working with the school board make things better. And we get reports from them all the time. The problem is we still got schools in the black community still low in the district. Washington low. Why I can't say why people be bused. I go to 6 in the morning, people being bused from Waukesha 10 miles away. So it makes sense to me. We can't make it equal, the same opportunity at all and Washington, the same, make it equal education. You don't be busing their children themselves, you give them a fair education. So something's wrong with that picture. So I wish to keep biracial committees back in place, but working to solve these problems as a community, not working with black people involved with, that was point blank. With the agenda of Trump and the government, we're working with this community. The community moving forward together as a team, making why these children don't want to go to Mount y'all. Why are we doing brand new schools that's empty? Why we got people up there getting busted 10 miles and 5 miles there? Why they won't stay on? We're working on high quality problems. How do we solve the working together, not making people a team effort. I hope we get back to working with the superintendent and solid ground and not go further back to the old days. Thank you for your time.
Next is Braylon Harris.
I've got no voice like the bass man, but I'll do the best I can. Let me just say that Imani Eslavon from Sulphur High School reached over to me. She was not able to make it on time to get a card, but she's a junior student there and said she also is opposed to these conversations. My wife's name was rendered earlier. She was picking up one of my children from school. I'd love if we could call her back or I could borrow some of her time. With that being said, my name is Braylon Harris. I live at 1465 Manchester Road in Iowa, Louisiana. I have 4 children of my own that are a part of this public system and over 60 children in my church that I pastor that are matriculating through the public schools of Calcasieu Parish. I rise this afternoon to just simply say that I'm opposed to this motion and the movement to somehow dismantle the desegregation order on the basis of this fact alone. That yes, we can make sure that we've got some kind of simple empirical evidence or some contrived ideas that we have met the compliance of the letter of this law. But the reality of the fact is, it's not about the letter of this law, it is about the spirit of this law. The letter of the law simply suggests that we make sure that we've got this many kids over here and that many kids over there and this many teachers over here and that many teachers over there. But the spirit of the law is that our hearts and our minds and our characters have come up to the place where we will not only maintain the letter, but we will continue to move in the spirit of that law. My suspicion is to this end. Due to the fact that, listen, you have not listened. We are all here because we are all out here because you have not listened to the best of us that are up there. And it's been proven that if you're not listening to the best of us up there, when this is over, you will not think about the least of us out there. The fact is, wherever there is a powerful majority professing to act in the best interest of a protected minority within our society, there is always a closest ally, and those are the light of day, the record of media, and the public square. That said, let me be very clear that this is not lost on any of us, that this discussion is happening during the centennial celebration of Black History Month. With the same federal administration that is pushing this agenda item through the activist judges that he has appointed named James D. Cain Jr., the agenda that this active judge is now becoming an outside agitator of what is going on here, right here in Calcasieu Parish School Board. Here's why I bring the federal administration to bear in this matter, because the dog whistle has been blown. It is already publicly known and clear that there is a desire to see these decrees discarded and dismantled across Louisiana, and our leadership seems to be complicit to be more readily to meet that command than they have been to meet the demands of this decree for the last 50 years. Somebody big give me some time. Might I remind you as a local pastor that our dear Lord and Savior did say that we must render unto Caesar what is Caesar as it pertains to our civil taxes, but we do not have to do what Caesar tells us to do, because that is not always as unto Christ. In fact, he says it this way: what you do to the least of these, my brother, that's what you've done to Christ. Hear me well, what is being insinuated by even the discussion of the possibility of lifting this consent decree is that equity has been achieved and can be maintained in Southwest Louisiana without the federal accountability. And maybe there is some empirical data that we can conjure up or manipulate to support this frivolous claim and satisfy the letter of the law, but we each know ourselves the truth, that not enough has been done to curate the trust that is needed to satisfy the spirit of this law. For me in my house, I answer no. Because since the lived experience of my own father and mother, when they integrated Westlake High School at the inception of this order, to the concerned expressions on the children, my own children's faces, when they heard that this order was being discussed 60 years later, not enough has been done to build the trust. The spirit of the law has not been met. And the reason we can say this is true is because for years, we have sent our best, most qualified candidates to lead this organization. And time after time, when we sent the best we have Ina Delahousie, along with many others. You turned them down. And from then to now, you have said there has not been one among us that is qualified to lead this committee. That means we have not met the spirit of the law. So go on, do what you will, or better yet, do what you're told. In fact, whatever I do it quickly. 1 minute, I got you. Just know this. Whatever you do, you may scurry off in a few moments to your executive session and do your bidding in the darkness of our understanding. But there is not a corner of your heart, nor is there a crevice of your mind that is dark enough to hide your intents from God.
Next, we have Gene Thibodeau. Who wants to donate a minute? Good evening, members of this board. I'm Gene Thibodeau at 3910 Ruby Court here in Lake Charles. I'm the constituent of Dr. Washington. I went to school in a segregated system here in Lake Charles. I graduated from the old Washington High School. All right. Because of people like Mr. Charles Honoré, Mr. Martha Gray, Mr. Hardy, Clement Hardy, I was able to attend a very exclusive private college. I was able to attend a very exclusive law school. I don't want to go back to those days of segregation. I know it well. I lived it. I don't have to read about it. I lived it here in this community. The purpose of this desegregation order is to have this system a unitary system. Unitary system is a system whereby the vestiges of past segregation are eliminated. Have we gotten there? I don't think so. That's a rhetorical question. Why do I think we have not gotten there? Well, we have racially identifiable schools in this parish. We all know what they are. I can name them. Washington, Marion, McGrath, F.K. White, J.J. Johnson, Brentwood, Oak Park Elementary, Oak Park Middle, you can go on and on and on. We have racially identifiable faculty members. We have racially identifiable coaching staffs. We have racially identifiable leadership. With the exception of Moss Bluff Middle, I'm not aware of one predominantly white school that has a black principal. Not one. Name me any school in Calvert Parish, and I can tell you the race of the principal. I can tell you the race of the head coach. I can tell you the majority composition of that faculty. I can tell you that. It doesn't take much to do that. That is statistically impossible to be random. We have to fix this system, and we have to fix it now.
Yes.
So, does Calvert Parish have underperforming and failing schools? Yes. Are most of these schools black? Yes. In 2025, were the majority of the schools that needed urgent intervention identified as black?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
30 seconds, Sean.
Okay. Why do you think I started charter schools? Not to my ego, I don't need that on my resume. I'm planning my obituary, not my resume. We have the same students from the same families, same streets, and yet they're performing differently. Why is that? Under this desegregation order, we have Washington Marion as a magnet school. People, let's be honest. Is it really a magnet school? No. Really? And you know what? It's sad to say because I'm a product of one of the predecessor schools, Washington High School. Okay?
Time's up.
Okay.
Give us some time. We got a call.
What about the quality of our campuses? The schools in the poor district don't have the bonding capacity to construct these better facilities. They don't. Have we considered parish-wide bonding? I don't think so. The desegregation order mandates a report to the Office of Civil Rights. Have we done that? It mandates reports to the federal court. Have we done that?
I don't know. I'm just saying that more than ever, the time is now to seriously engage the community as stakeholders and to collectively make our public schools, of which I am a product, what it can and what they ought to be. Thank you. Judges don't initiate litigation. I was a judge for 28 years. We can't file lawsuits. And it's very seldom that a federal judge will return anybody to court. Judge Kane is different. He just wants to know, he can't initiate it. He just wants to know, what are you going to do? He runs a tight ship. This has been on his docket for a long time. What are you going to do? Shall I keep it on the docket? Or will you all be doing something to revamp or revise this segregation order? Okay, so it's up to you. You decide to maintain the status quo, to move forward, or to send us back to the days where I grew up.
Thank you. Ms. Eloina Woods.
Yeah, I got my boots on. And I say that we're not going back.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Eloina G. Woods, 1909 4th Street. I was a principal for 17 years. Mr. Craig Marks made some good points. I almost wanted to sit down because he said just about all the things I wanted to say. I saw Raynard Middle School close, and when they closed that school, I saw a whole community die. It died. And they waited until I retired to decide that they were going to close it, because when I was there, they were trying to close it, and I objected to it and was going to raise holy hell. But I want to say that I was on a committee, Ms. Gay, Ms. Linda Gay, and I, Ms. Gay, and some other members. We met with the superintendent, Mr. Carl Brookhouse, on the consent decree and the desegregation orders, and we met. And we also asked him about an advisory board, Mr. Craig Marks. That never happened. So as a result, we formed our own board, and we met, and some things that we saw was done, and some things that we saw was not done and could not be done. But one thing that I do know is that we're not going back, and that we're not going to have segregated schools. Because when you look around, if you segregate the schools, the funds get segregated along. By maybe 10 years from now, you have different funds, you don't have enough money for your children.
1 minute, Ms. Woods.
Okay, I want to say this, is that I am against the order. And I'm asking this board, do not take us back. Do not take us back. We've come too far. We have our ancestors, they fought for this. They died for this. And here we are, 2026, discussing this again. I say not. And I just want to read this right here before I take my seat. It says, the desegregation movement was a pivotal long-term campaign within the U.S. civil rights movement, aiming to eliminate racial separation in public schools, transportation, and public spaces. Sparked by grassroots activists and key legal battles, it peaked with the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education ruling, which declared segregated schools unconstitutional. The movement significantly dismantled state-sponsored Jim Crow laws through acts of defiance, such as the 1955 Montgomery bus parkout and 1960 sit-ins, ultimately forcing integration across the American South as illegal.
Okay, our last blue board is Alex Reshore. You put yourself down for 12 and 13, so.
That's okay. Just this.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alex Richard, 2137 Lancashire Drive in Lake Charles, Louisiana, 70601. I'm a parent of a incredible 10-year-old boy who's been through the worst things imaginable. I adopted him 4 years ago, and I'm here tonight because of him. I made him the promise that I would do everything humanly possible to protect him in every way. If the federal oversight of our desegregation order is removed without strong local protections to replace it, the research tells us exactly what happens next. Schools that serve mostly Black and brown children lose experienced teachers first. They lose AP classes, they lose gifted screening, they lose functioning buildings, and they lose them quietly, one budget cycle at a time. Until a child in North Lake Charles and a child in South Lake Charles are no longer getting the same education, and no one is required to answer for it. My son does not know what a desegregation order is, but he will know what it feels like when a school across town has a science lab and his does not. He will know what it means when his friends get into colleges he was never prepared for, not because he didn't work hard enough, but because nobody made it sure he had the same starting line. I'm not asking you to keep things the way they are simply because they have always been this way. I'm asking you to build something better. Our community has outgrown the need for federal oversight, then prove it. Put protections in place before the order is lifted, not after. Pass local policy that guarantees equal access to advanced coursework, certified teachers, and adequate facilities in every school in this parish, regardless of zip code, regardless of the color of the children inside.
30 seconds.
Because right now, that order is the only thing that is standing between my son and a two-tiered system. If you remove it without replacing it with something stronger, you are not returning local control. You are removing only accountability that exists. I need you to make the right decision when you have the opportunity, not with words, but with policy, with funding, with action that says every child in Calcasieu Parish matters equally. My son is watching. All of our children are watching. And they will remember whether this board chose to protect them.
So we've heard from Mr. Belfour and we've heard from the public. Need a motion on 12A, executive session to discuss Conley versus Lake Charles School Board, now Calcasieu Parish School Board, number 80-1709, as a supplemental to number 9981 USDC. Deputy Black. Motion, Mary, second by Ms. Reynolds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Yep. What? Yeah, we're gonna, your conference room up, superintendent's conference, thank you.
First, we have to have a motion, First, we have to have a motion to come back to the regular session. What's that?
I need a motion to end executive session and to resume the meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Tarver, second. Seconded by Mr. Broke. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Mr.
passes.
Chairman.
Okay, item 13, take appropriate action on executive session.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we add the Attorney General's office as an additional counsel to represent the school board in the Conley versus Lake Charles School Board case.
Motion by Mr. Tarver. Second by Ms. Fontenot. Questions? Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
2 noes. Dr. Washington and Mr. Wallace. Motion carries. Number 14, that would be condolences and recognitions. I'll start with Ms. Gagnon.
I only have one, and it's Mr. Thomas Archinaud, who worked in the system. He passed a couple of weeks ago. Ms. Pegg, I don't know how to get any information. I'm just acknowledging it because his children don't live here, and I wouldn't know where to send it.
I'd like a card sent to the family of Teresa Castro. She was a longtime educator, 30-some odd years. Sent to her spouse, Joe Castro. I have an address for you. I'd like to be added to Ms. Glenda Gay for Mr. Archinaud, and I will have the address for his daughter, Tamika. And also I'd like to give recognition out to Washington Marion soccer team under direction of Ms. Letitia on over there clapping. They made it to state.
Tell me then.
They lost, but they at least made it to state in soccer. Please add to Washington Marion.
All right, the same, please add my name to Mr. Archinaud and to Washington Marion as well. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Steele? No?
But, go ahead, I guess I haven't watched the It's kind of weird, but.
Good job, Coach.
Number 15, scheduled committees. Just for information, we've got the Employee Benefits Committee, February 24th, and the Budget Committee, March 24th. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. No, any opposed? Nope. Meeting adjourned.